Hello children, thank you for joining me for tonight's bedtime story. It's really good to see you. It's been a long time. And tonight's bedtime story is going to be about Thomas the Tank Engine. So before we start, I've got a couple of facts about Thomas that might interest you. So did you know it's been 78 years since Thomas the Tank Engine was written? That's a really long time. It's older than me, and I'm really, really old, so Thomas is older than me. And did you also know that the first few stories were written about 3 other engines, and they were Gordon and Henry and Edward, and Thomas wasn't actually in the books at all. He didn't come till a little bit later on, so that was an interesting fact. And also, it was another 61 years of just having boy engines before there was a little girl engine. So it was actually called Emily, but she took 61 years to arrive on the scene, which is a long time, isn't it? So that's interesting. And it was written by a vicar, the Reverend Awdry. So that's another fact. And his daddy was a vicar. So there you go. So I think we'll start the story. It's probably enough facts, isn't it? Probably a bit bored of them. Okay, so get cosy, get your blanket. I've got mine in my dressing gown, and this is my bear from when I was a little girl. This is Kirby, who's my bedtime care bear. He's really old, so I'll rest him down there because he's nearly as old as me, probably feeling as tired as me. Okay, and this is the story that we've got tonight, and it's called Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. It's about some lost treasure, obviously. Exciting stuff. And Sodor is where Thomas lived, and it's based on the Isle of Man for mummies and daddies out there. Okay, let's start the story. It was a sunny day on the island of Sodor. A perfect day, Thomas thought, for racing Bertie. You know that Sir Topham Hatt doesn't approve of you racing, Annie said. Nonsense. I'll always be Sir Topham Hatt's #1 engine, Thomas puffed. Thomas raced past Gordon, pulling the coaches faster and faster until he reached a red signal. Thomas gasped as he came to a sudden stop. The coaches flew off the track. Sir Topham Hatt was not happy when he heard what Thomas had done. He told Thomas to work on the new branch line. But what about my branch line? Puffed Thomas. A new engine named Ryan rolled up. I will look after your branch line. Thomas went to work on the new branch line, but he didn't pay attention to the danger signs. Suddenly the earth crumbled away beneath him. Thomas crashed down into a giant underground cavern. Thomas saw something amazing. An old pirate ship. Rocky pulled the pirate ship out of the cavern. All the engines wanted to see the buried ship. If there's buried pirate ship, there must be buried treasure too, Marion peeped. She made a wish that she would dig up the treasure. Not far off, a mysterious sailor stood in his sailboat. Stop bobbing about, she commanded. Sorry, the boat replied. The sailor raised his telescope to watch work on the new branch line. He started to make a plan. That night, Thomas went to the sheds to rest, but Ryan was already there. He invited Thomas in, but Thomas was feeling upset. Thomas rolled away into the night. Then he saw a ghost boat glowing in the dark. Thomas followed the eerie sailboat. A ghostly figure stood on its deck. It glided up to the edge of the hole that led into the cavern. That's when Thomas realised it wasn't a ghost boat. He's got wheels. Thomas introduced himself. My name is Sailor John, the man said. And I'm Skiff, the boat said. We're looking for treasure. Sailor John tied a rope around his waist, and Thomas lowered him into the cavern. I found it, Sailor John exclaimed from a hole. The treasure? Thomas asked. No, the sailor came back. The map. The sun was rising as Thomas returned to the new branch line. He saw Ryan go to an old hopper to fill up with coal. Thomas knew it was bad coal, but he didn't say anything. Ryan went to fetch some dynamite. His funnel was spitting sparks because of the bad coal. The trucks with the dynamite caught on fire. Thomas pushed the flaming trucks away. They rolled into the giant cavern, and the dynamite exploded with a mighty kaboom! You know what dynamite is? It's an explosive, so that's why it went boom. Sir Topham Hatt was very upset indeed. He sent Thomas to a siding for the rest of the day. In the afternoon, Marian's shovel uncovered a treasure chest. Her wish had come true. Sailor John was angry. I haven't searched all this time for someone else to find that treasure, he growled. Skiff was confused. You always said we would give it to a museum. Naughty Sailor John. Thomas returned to the new branch line. Ryan rolled up next to him. I'm sorry you got in trouble, Ryan peeped. I should be the one saying sorry, said Thomas. I should have warned you about the bad coal. That night, Thomas hid behind some sheds near where the treasure was stored. Whilst he waited, he fell asleep. Skiff and Sailor John rolled up to the platform. Sailor John snuck into the office and stole the treasure. Help! Skiff cried. Help! Thomas woke and started to chase them. Thomas raced as fast as he could. His whistle blew a warning to the nearby trains. Choo-hoo! Thomas, Skiff shouted, run me off the rails. I won't mind. Thomas sped up and bumped Skiff. The tiny boat splashed into the harbour. Thomas couldn't stop. He leapt off the rails and fell into the surf. They're all in the water, look. Oh dear. The treasure is too heavy, Skiff cried. Throw it overboard or we'll be sunk. No, shouted Sailor John. Skiff knocked Sailor John into the water. The treasure toppled over too. It sank. The police soon arrived and took Sailor John away. Naughty Sailor John. Divers rescued the treasure and delivered it to the museum just in time for the opening of the new branch line. My engines are much more important to me than any treasure, Sir Topham Hatt said. And you, Thomas, are my number one engine. And he actually is the number one, isn't he? Because he has the number one on the side of him. What a good ending to the story. It was all happy in the end. Thank you for listening, children. Night, night, sweet dreams, sleep tight. God bless. Night, night.